company over there. All right.
When you guys were telling me that, I was sitting right here with my cup. I know those.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to do. That doesn't preclude the other ones that happen. Good seeing you again.
I like it that you did everything with the pink. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Flamingo Lounge. It's,
The extension. My name is Carrie Masters. Bob, Obie, was my brother-in-law, and who you just heard singing was my sister, Nancy. I am so honored to be here today to officiate in this celebration of life for such a wonderful man. Your presence here honors his life and his memory, and is a source of comfort to his family and many friends. So thank you for being here today. Life is forever changing, and today we face a change in our life. But as we gather here together to love and support each other, we celebrate his life, and we can agree that we have been touched by a life that is well lived. I deeply believe that each one of us fulfills a purpose in life, and that we come to earth, to this place, to shine our light and love upon the earth. And Obie's light was certainly unique and beautiful. He brought beauty to the world as a loving husband and father and a wonderful friend. At this time, I am pleased to introduce you to his daughter, Carin Webb, as she remembers her dad.
I'm going to begin my comments by saying something that I have obnoxiously repeated over the last several years, and that is, look, I won the lottery the day I was born, okay? And so, to do so again, to me, could only be redundant, if not somewhat anticlimactic. Yeah, that's obnoxious. I know that. To quote one of my heroes, Dr. Phil McGraw, when you're a kid, your dad is a guy who's 10 feet tall and who gets out of bed every morning a half hour before you do, just in order to let in the sunrise. And that was my dad. He was my superhero. I thought I could do pretty near anything. Turns out I was pretty near right. After all, he was, for all intents and purposes, a rocket scientist. I wanted to hold this celebration of his life at this specific location because, to me, it is almost hallowed ground. And I'm not saying that because there have been, like, a gazillion pets buried here. Nor is it due to the fact that I have found Jesus in my Myrtlewood wainscot. Twice. And a Joseph Smith. And the funny thing was, I was looking for the Virgin Mary the entire time. So, what was I going to say next?
You were married here.
Yes, that's right. No, but rather, it's because my folks spent about twice as much of their time as a couple living here in the front house and any other place they shared. And they didn't move around a lot, and so they spent about 20 years here. So you don't have to look around very long, very hard to see a lot of my dad and a lot of my mom just about anywhere you want to look. Of course, Tom and I have left our own distinct imprints. Pretty sure were it not for Tom, geese would not dwell here. And if I could just excuse me for a second while I do a little shout out to my posse. Baba! Yep, that's my crew. Henri and Gloria. This lawn that we are enjoying today, you know, it wasn't that long ago that this whole back area here was just one big uneven patch of rocky dirt with a handful of fruit trees on it, where we mostly cultivated weeds. And for the longest time, we called it Afghanistan. Of course, we could have called it the pet cemetery, but we didn't. We called it Afghanistan. Well, guess what? We don't call it Afghanistan anymore, okay? But yeah, if you take a look around this place, you will understand why I have said over and over, I come by my talents and my extraordinarily impeccable tastes, quite honestly. And yeah, I know that's obnoxious too, but you know what? That one is what it is, okay? Yeah, the one thing we always said about my folks is they never bought junk, okay? I mean, Mom dearly loved a bargain, but they both appreciated quality, and thereby operated under the notion that hopefully that way you only have to buy it the one time, right? You know, a few years back, my husband inspired me to invent a new obscene hand gesture, which goes like this. And it means, look it, buddy. For the last several weeks now, I have been sorting through hundreds, maybe even thousands, of your freaking vacuum tubes, many of which are about the size of the end of my thumb. No, you may not purchase yet another Newcomb turntable. We already have a few dozen. Unless, of course, you can find one about the size of the end of my thumb. Yeah, no, it's kind of cool. It has a sound effect.
Hey, you're talking through one right now.
Now, I realize that is never going to have any sort of universal appeal because of its specificity. But now my dad, on the other hand, inspired me to invent a new inspirational hand gesture, and only time will tell if pop culture cares to adopt it like this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. And it has two parts, and may be done with or without the sound effect. And it goes like this. And when asked how you're doing, it means, yeah, baby, I'm still hanging in there. If only by a fingernail. And in response, the inquirer, in an act of solidarity, gestures back this. Which means, you hang in there, baby. I know you can hold on. And so, if y'all don't mind indulging me, if later on someone asks you to pose for a picture, if you could give me one of these or one of these, depending on what your current situation is, hopefully we'll see a lot more of these, And who knows? Maybe one day urban legend will have it that, yeah, 420 may have started in San Rafael, California, but the I'm hanging in there, you hang in there inspirational hand gesture began with Robert James Obleman at Lakewood Gardens. Of course, if you really wanted to indulge me, you'd give me one of these, which I think would just serve to confuse the heck out of urban legend. But I say, let's go for it. Let's see. I wore this ring today because whenever I wear it, I get to say to myself, now I know that I ain't got nothing on Kate Middleton, right? But when I wear this ring, I get to say to myself, you know what? She ain't got nothing on me either, honey. Because, to begin with, I married my prince a long time ago, and since I do fancy myself a decent judge of horseflesh, I'm going to venture out on a limb here and predict that it's probably going to work out from here on in. Yeah, I always like to joke, you know what, we've been married 28 years, and you know what? Only some of those felt like dog years, so I don't think that's bad. Now, I wish the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge nothing but the best. All I'm saying is that living life inside a goldfish bowl cannot be some sort of leisurely walk in the park. But you see, here's the deal. When complimented on her stunning ring, which Charles had given to Diana, Catherine doesn't get to proudly proclaim, you know what? My daddy faceted this stone. And although that was not his profession, merely his hobby, I want to tell you something. The guy was a regular artiste. And no, mine is not a sapphire, but I still think I made out okay. So far, so good. I wore this ring today because whenever I wear it, I get to say, Kim Kardashian sure as hell ain't got nothing on me. Well, besides the obvious, but beauty fades, dumb is forever. To quote Judge Judy, who also said, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. And no, mine is not a diamond, but I still think I made out okay. So far, so good. But you want to know something else? I also call this ring, the one Tom gave me, my Kim Kardashian sure as hell ain't got nothing on me ring. But probably the greatest gift I was given by my parents was their role modeling, which had been role modeling to them. And because of that, I sought out as a life's partner my own superhero. A good guy I knew would always have my back. I didn't bring home some kind of every mother's worst nightmare, quintessential Jerry Springer Show trailer trash pathetic loser who's an unemployed professional couch surfer covered with tattoos and piercings, and who's an abusive, philandering, drunken, deadbeat, illiterate, badass biker bum with a gambling problem and a rap sheet as long as your arm, and who's impregnated at least to have a dozen different women, none of whom he's ever bothered putting one of these on. No, curiously enough, that wasn't what I was interested in. No, I was going to find me a good guy, like my dad and both my grandpas, because you know what? I knew they were out there. And not only that, and more importantly, I deserved one. But another thing I learned from my parents is that fortunes can change in a heartbeat, and that precious few of us are truly allowed a happily ever after. My dad's seemingly charmed life came to a rude and abrupt ending in January of 2001, when his wife of 46 years was struck and killed as a pedestrian in an automobile accident, along with their two dogs, Buster, a retriever mix, and Tinkerbell, an Australian shepherd. And it's probably safe to say that with the Alzheimer's and all, it was pretty much downhill for him from there, as one by one, his coping mechanisms abandoned him. Hey, nobody ever said life was fair. And when you put it into a little perspective, you know, the guy had a really terrific run for 70 of his 81 years. And I'll bet you if you were to average that out, you would find out that he probably did a lot better than most. But what happened to my mom and my dad helped me to more fully understand that it is incumbent upon me, and all of us really, to appreciate that each and every single day is a gift. True, some gifts way better than others. But it's the thought. And so I invite you to join me in my ongoing mission of trying to carpe diem, because nothing lasts forever, and you just never know when, out of the blue, fate seems to want to open up a can of whoop-ass on you, and life, as you have become accustomed, is forever altered.
He passed from this life on November 23rd, 2011. He graduated from Lasky Academy in 1947. He worked as a barber after high school, but I learned that he found himself often in trouble at that job because there would be customers waiting, but there was a basketball game and he had to go to it. He loved basketball. Obie joined the Navy about 1950, where he met my sister, Nancy, while they were both in Navy Electronics School. They married on March 13, 1954. Their son, Eric, was born September 1st, 1954. After the Navy, Obie graduated from USC with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and soon went to work for Douglas Aircraft in Huntington Beach. On Bob and Nancy's second wedding anniversary, March 13, 1956, their daughter Carin was born. Douglas Aircraft became McDonnell Douglas, and he worked for them for 28 years and retired the first time in 1985. Then he went to work at Northrop and then for Rockwell, but McDonnell Douglas called him to come back and work for them again. He was so well respected in his work that he had many people working under him who had way more education than he had, but he had the smarts to do the work. During his second round with McDonnell Douglas, he was one of the engineers on the Apollo 2 program. In 1994, he retired from there for the final time. Obie and Nancy moved to Palos Verdes in 1964 for the advantages of the school system there. In 1972, they opened their first pet store, Animal World, in Bellflower. In 1973, they opened H&H Feed and Pet Supply, as I recall, in Torrance, which was operated by both Nancy and Carin. After his retirement in 1994, Obie and Nancy moved to Broadbent, Oregon, to fix up and live in their 100-year-old home. While Bob did the renovations with a friend, they lived in a travel trailer in the driveway. It was a big job and it took a long time, but once it was finished, the home with the picture postcard beauty from the outside was also magnificent on the inside. Many of you are nodding, so I know that many of you have seen their home. Obie's woodwork throughout the house was very detailed and complete with quilted maple wood and myrtle wood. It was just a showplace on a piece of land that was over the top beautiful. There are so many memories that we have of Bob, and it is good to share them. I invite anyone here right now who has a memory of him to please either come up front and share it, or stand where you are and talk really loud so we can all hear, so that we can all share in your memory. Would anyone like to share?
I will.
All right.
Uh-oh.
This is it. Hello, I'm Tom. I'm Bob's son-in-law. And basically, I want to say, I feel like one of the luckiest people in the room. Both him and Nancy were tremendous influences upon my life. So I met Carin. Actually, it was through the pet store that they took over. They didn't start in H&H. I went there before they even bought the place. And everything was just, went great from that point on. Again, I say I feel very blessed, very lucky. And thank you, Bob. Thank you, Nancy.
Anyone else? We have the whole afternoon. Nancy had already passed away, but while I was there, Obie did teach me how to turn pins on the lathe, and we had a lot of fun. And he took us all over the area, showed us that area. Jess and I love Bob a lot.
Hi everybody, I'm a neighbor, I'm Larry. This world would be a great place if we had more neighbors like Nancy and Bob, like Tom and Carin. I don't think we would need police forces the way we do now. I don't think we would need some of the other services that we need, because if you had a problem, Bob would come over and take care of it. Tom would come over, Carin would, and what a pleasure it was to know both Bob and Nancy. Great folks, never a cross word from either of them, and trust me, my friends, I'm going to miss them a lot. Thanks.
I'm Michelle, or Mickey, and I'm going to make you laugh. Bob was a great date. Because after Nancy passed away, I used to be the sub whenever he came down here from when we went to see the opera, or we went to the Hollywood Bowl, or whatever we went to see. And he was always a gentleman. He was always very sweet. And the best thing, he always made me laugh. That's the best thing you could ask for a friend. And he listened to me, and he was just a great guy. And when I went to go see him at Lakewood Gardens, I would go all the time to see him. And he'd always give me my sugar. I couldn't miss him dearly. But he's been a very important part of my life. And I was very fortunate to have him a part of my life. Thank you.
A friend and a companion and he became the grandpa to my daughter. Just kind of adopted her because Megan wasn't available and he missed his Megan a lot. So spent a lot of time there, got to meet Carin and Tom, of course, through that, and then meet you and meet Jess, and just wonderful memories, and some of you here I recognize because I got to come down once and see you for some of his wonderful Christmas parties with the group from work. So I'll miss him a lot too.
I don't have a ton of memories of Grandpa Obie, other than him being just a great grandpa to me. And I remember staying in his house and looking at all the rocks and the pens and different things that he made. So I'll miss him a lot.
I'm the mother of their only grandchild. Obie and Nancy were always great supporters of my singing, and they loved music, and they went to Gilbert and Sullivan, loved Gilbert and Sullivan a lot, and they would have musicals. Like, it seemed like every other month they were having a musical where they would have everybody come and sing, and they were terrific about it. But one thing that I remembered is when I went up to visit them in Oregon, and I was singing, they wanted me to sing for their church. And we let me see, we went to practice beforehand, and then we went out to breakfast. And in Oregon, their non-smoking section is like, this table is non-smoking, that table's smoking. Right? So I was sitting here with smoking all around me. And so I got to the church about to sing, and I was gargling because of the smoke. You know, all this stuff is running down my throat. And I started to sing, and Obie always had the most expressive face of anybody I ever met. He loved life, he loved everybody, but you could read everything on his face. And I started to sing, and it was like I was gargling. It was like, and his face, he was ready for me to sing, and then it was like, and gradually my breath came, and so my voice started to come, and then he was like, oh. They were great. I'll really miss it.
I agree. I'm going to miss Obie a lot. In fact, I started missing him, I think, before he went into Lakewood Gardens. It was really touching for me to have to move through that and to see Carin move through that. So, yeah, I'm going to miss him. Anyone else have a memory to share? Well, today we are here celebrating his life and his memory. We take comfort in the realization that his spirit lives on in our hearts. I was sitting outside earlier this morning, and I just closed my eyes to just go into a quiet meditation, and his face came to me. I invite that for all of you to just see his face once more. So as we tenderly release this beautiful person, our wonderful friend, our dad, our grandpa, our lives continue on, and so do our memories. I invite you to comfort one another today and every day by sharing your memories, not only with each other, but with members of the family. And I invite us all to let the life of Robert James Obleman inspire you to live your very best life. Blessings.
Hell it is. Don't you hate when that happens?
If you go out in the backyard, you can find that replacement.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So cool.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Very.
Yeah, so the causes stand out. Stand out, yeah, that is really cool. Oh, yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of skill.
It's like. Freddie's got family. In fact,
Pretty cool, huh?
She's an Australian Shepherd. She looks a lot like a border.
Did you see all those gorgeous rocks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He loved to do his lapidaries stuff.
You can make some good jewelry out of that one.
What if you found it?
What about the pocket in the volcano?
So what does he do? Like this is the rock, and then you cut it in half, and then you.
Yeah. But once in a blue moon.
That one there.
That one's a keeper.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Why is it a thunder egg?
A thunder egg.
Thunder egg. They come out of volcanoes. They blast out, and they're debris.
Mm-hmm. That is beautiful. Look at that.
It's gorgeous. Ah, dang. Yeah. It's a volcanic thing. It takes a long time for that. That's a genuine agate.
Wow.
Yeah, you won't see like one like that every day. You can put nice.
I was looking at it. You said this is
That's
coral.
fossilized coral.
Oh.
Yeah, it's also an agate.
But it almost looks like Jupiter, the way it has the lines and everything else.
He and I talked about spheres many times. Well, I had an unusual relationship with him in that we drank coffee together every day for 5 years. You get to know people a little bit differently that way.
Now, are you an engineer yourself? And where'd you work at?
McDonnell Douglas.
McDonnell Douglas. You're still working? Retired?
I'm retired.
Were you involved in some of the same projects he was in?
Same projects. We worked at Northrop before that, and I knew him there as well. We were on the B2 program, and I knew him there. I was a contractor, and he was an employee working in the lab group. And we had coffee every morning there, too.